And we are back with breaking news. Reuters reports that ICE is suspending vehicle stops for immigration enforcement. They are a massive driver of deportations. And this comes after ICE agents shot and killed another person, the second killing in just 1 week. Johann Sebastian, the 26-year-old Colombian native killed in Biddeford, Maine yesterday, was a delivery driver, husband, and father. According to a witness who spoke with MS Now, Sebastian's wife and young daughter were seen crying at the scene. Hours after the shooting became public knowledge, DHS released a statement saying ICE was conducting surveillance on a migrant facing a final order of removal when a person departed the residence in a car. ICE agents attempted to stop the vehicle, they say, and DHS says an officer opened fire, quote, fearing for public safety. But they have not provided any evidence to support those claims. The driver, who we now know was Sebastian, was hit by gunfire and later died. Maine Senator Angus King says DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin has since told him that Sebastian wasn't the intended target of the operation. A nearby surveillance camera captured video showing the moments after the shooting. And I have a warning, it is difficult to watch. Federal agents can be seen opening the car door and dragging an unresponsive man onto the ground, pulling him further away from the car, then appearing to secure his hands behind his back. Let's go right now to MS Now's Will McDuffie. He is there in Maine for us, and immigration attorney and former ICE chief counsel Veronica Cardenas is with us as well. Will, tell me what you're hearing from people in Maine. I know that you've spoken to witnesses. How are people doing?
Well, it's really affected people here, Antonia. I mean, this is a sleepy town about 20 miles south of Portland. This happened on a hilly intersection in a residential area at 7 a.m. People were waking up, they were getting ready for work. I mean, the fact that this would happen is unfathomable, but at the same time, people are upset here because this is not the first time we've seen an incident like this. And also, ICE presence in Maine really ramped up earlier this year, so they're familiar with the presence of ICE officers here. And here at this park yesterday, there was a protest with a ton of people, including Senate candidates who showed up, and they actually walked up the hill behind me to a local Susan Collins office to protest. Now, I did speak to a couple eyewitnesses, including one gentleman on camera. Let's hear what he had to tell me.
I heard the kind of shotgun, and I just came out to see what happened, and first thing I saw was him and a lot of ICE agents over there, and I saw his wife and his daughter crying. That was kind of weird, scary.
How has it made you feel?
I mean, they are killing our people,
Now, to give you an idea of how close that gentleman was to the scene, I mean, right outside his house is a makeshift memorial right now for the victim. And that gentleman, he knew the victim. He said he was a family man, had a beautiful family, a wife and a young daughter, both of whom he said were on the scene yesterday. That's how he was able to identify them. He said the victim was a delivery driver. He reportedly was driving to work. Antonia, it's just so tragic all around.
It's incredibly heartbreaking. Veronica, I want to get your reaction to what we just heard from that man there. As he's saying basically that it feels like ICE, that federal agents are going after us, his community. Given what we've seen happen in Maine, what we know is happening in Texas right now, there is continued outrage and protests over the killing of Salgado Araujo there. I want just your reflection on what's happened over the past 7 days.
Yeah, and frustration. We heard Lorenzo's son state that he went to lawyers before this incident happened to see how he could best comply. And when we look at Joanne, one of his last statements was that I tried to stop. Have a very vulnerable immigrant community and their allies who are trying to comply with ICE directives, who are trying to comply with what ICE wants so that these situations do not happen. And there's so much focus on communities, right? Like even in the statement that was put out, this illegal alien, that is not true. This person was going through the process, Joanne. He had a work authorization. He was going through the process that the administration has laid out for non-citizens to go through. So despite all of that compliance, we have DHS not being reckless at this point, but being very deliberate in focusing on the numbers at whatever cost and whatever comes with that. And I thought that, the death of Renee Good, Alex Preddy, there was a new secretary stated that things may have been a little bit different. That was only 6 months ago. And we see now that there's a push for more arrests and nothing has changed. None of the officers had body. And it's the same rhetoric stating that, they tried to weaponize vehicles instead of really looking at what DHS must do to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, very quickly with our last few moments, can you explain what the policy is at ICE, or what it's supposed to be, about what you do when you are confronting or detailing someone who is in a vehicle?
The first thing is that they should be identifying themselves. Without that directive, then the person who's driving doesn't know. Like we spoke, non-citizens right now are targeted not only by ICE, but actors. Lorenzo's son stated that he had been the victim of a robbery before. And so it's really important that ICE identify themselves and state verbally the commands that they want the person to do. And if that's not done, then that would and escalates circumstances and leads to the deaths that we've been seeing. The other thing is that there shouldn't be shooting into vehicles, especially in these situations. I know the investigations are still ongoing, but what we've seen from the past, those shootings were not because it wasn't for officer safety. And in the case of Joanne, ICE officers didn't even say it was for their own safety. It was for public safety.
And it certainly would help if we had body cameras in these cases, but we do not. Veronica Cardenas, Will McDuffie, thank you both so much.